Japanese have called the Sea Shepherd, the Conservation Society, terrorists. And I agree with them 100%. Opponents of the Japanese whaling expedition said it's simply a cover for commercial whaling, which was banned almost 20 years ago, or more than 20 years ago. The gentleman on board, the captain of the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society vessel, activist Paul Watson, said that the fracas last week began as his crew tried to maneuver their boat into position that would have prevented the Japanese from dragging a whale on board their vessel. Another Japanese ship shot in front of Paul Watson's boat, causing a collision, he said. What's going on right now in this whaling thing is terrorism at sea. You're getting into a point right now where collisions at sea with big boats is terrorism. It's not harassment, it's terrorism. The Japanese have blamed the Sea Shepherd for the crash, characterizing the incident as deliberately ramming their boat. A fisheries spokesman for the Japanese for whaling in Japan accused of the conservationists of appalling and unforgivable acts. They said, we will ask concerned countries, including Australia, to immediately stop these terrorists from carrying out such horrendous acts. And the article, as I read it, is going very lightly on Paul Watson, the captain of the Sea Shepherd, the name of the boat, the Steve Irwin, and what are they doing to the Japanese, and the harassment turning into terrorism, and someone's going to get killed. Last week, the tensions escalated after Watson said two members of his boat were slightly injured when the Japanese blasted them with a water cannon and hurled heavy chunks of metal at them. Whatever that means. But God forbid, a water cannon. If you're going up close to an ocean-going vessel and you're ramming them, you're getting in their way, you're causing the danger, that to me is an act of domestic terrorism. And that's what's happening right now. If you don't like what's going on with the Japanese or whatever, then take it up through diplomatic channels. But I've had it with the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society hiding behind the conservationists and saying they have every right for doing what they're doing to other vessels at sea. Do you guys agree or disagree? Let's go to the car phone. Good morning, Peter. You're on XTK. How you doing, Peter?
Yeah, hi. I was first mate on the Steve Irwin last year and the first 7 weeks of this year. So I was hearing your radio program, and I thought I should call in to answer some of your questions.
What do you think, Peter? Are you a self-described eco-terrorist like Paul?
Well, I think eco-terrorism is a word used by people who are against us. I mean, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. We, Sea Shepherd Conservation Society, is a conservation group, and we protect international regulations on the high seas under the UN. Pardon me?
So you're self-proclaimed police on the high seas?
Well, actually, we aren't self-proclaimed police. The UN Charter for Nations quite plainly states that if governments of the world do not protect international regulations on the high seas, then it is up to non-governmental organizations to do so. That's written in the law, and Sea Shepherd Conservation Society is a non-governmental organization, and at the moment there are no governments protecting the whale sanctuary in Antarctica.
So you're saying the Japanese, what they are doing is illegal under International Whaling Commission rules?
The IWC has ruled that the Japanese supposed research whale hunt is illegal, yes.
They have not ruled that.
I think, quite frankly, they have ruled that. They haven't given the Japanese permission to whale in the sanctuary. This year, the Japanese were whaling in the Australian Economic Zone, and there was an Australian federal court order last year denying them that right.
Okay, so how many people have you hurt by ramming them, Peter?
No one has been injured on any of the actions in the last 30 years of the Sea Shepherd Conservation.
So you call them actions?
Well, it depends. We actually go out and protect marine mammals, and we do whatever we can to protect them. Quite frankly, the terrorists are the people out there killing them and, destroying the oceans. We can all think it's great to have everyone go out there and destroy the oceans, but, there is no life on a dead planet. And as it's going in this day and age, we are turning this place into a dead planet. So it's time that humans stand up and protect the ocean.
Peter, who funds you guys?
Sea Shepherd Conservation. I'm a volunteer, have volunteered for the last 26 years. I come from Cape Cod, and the funding comes from individuals around the world. It is a nonprofit organization. There's very few salaries involved. It's one of the very good nonprofit organizations. I mean, you can get their tax returns. It's public.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain how the whaling industry hasn't gone at you guys legally or monetarily?
Well, my feeling is why most Japanese and illegal fisheries have not gone after the Sea Shepherd Society, because they're illegal. If it comes out in court, I mean, quite frankly, Paul Watson asked to be arrested at times to please put this in the front of the court, so you are, found guilty. Sea Shepherd takes on international regulations, illegal operations in international waters. That's what it takes on. And those are very shady area as far as maritime law is concerned, and no one wants to get into it, I guess, I would assume. I don't know why the Japanese do what they do. I don't know why they whale.
What about, Peter, let me ask you a question. Just about everybody that I know in the international world, from what I've been reading, considers you guys eco-terrorists.
Well,
and Paul himself is saying there's nothing wrong with being a terrorist as long as you win, right?
Well, I mean, that's Paul's side. Those aren't my words, but I will say this, that most of the world felt those guys in Boston 200 years ago that dumped the tea in the ocean were terrorists too. I mean, it comes a time when one has to stand up for what one believes in and to take the consequences. Sea Shepherd takes the consequences. I mean, we admit to what we do. We don't go under cover of darkness down there. We announced what we were doing in Antarctica. We were down there in Antarctica. It's all over TV. Everybody has cameras. It's not something being done in secret. These are individuals, I myself included, who stood up for something they believed in, and I would do it again.
So you ram boats.
We do what it takes.
Excuse me. Just say yes.
I've rammed boats. Yes.
You've rammed boats.
Yes, sir. I have.
You've created. You've taken private property and had it scuttled, basically.
Yes, sir.
And you feel that any action you take is okay as long as you're saving the planet, whether it be seals or whales or anybody else.
When you talk about any action, no, we do not condone the injury of any or the loss of any life.
That's not what Paul said. Paul said up in
Paul
Canada.
Say, you're not talking to Paul. You're talking to me.
No, but he runs your organization.
Well, he is he runs the organization. So what did he say? What quote are you asking?
That one seal life is more important than 3 sealers.
Well, unfortunately, that's in fact the case.
Wow.
I mean, if you have to just look at it factually, you can talk emotionally all you want on the radio, but if you look at it factually, when I turned the radio on, you were talking about some stupid statement that he said about earthworms more important than humans.
That's true.
Well, quite frankly, you can talk to any biologist.
Excuse me, Peter, that's a fact.
Let me finish.
No, that's a fact.
That.
That's not an opinion. That's a fact.
No, that is a fact. Earthworms are more important than people on the Earth. If you're looking at the Earth, what's more important to the health of a planet?
Peter,
earthworms are more important than people.
Peter, for 26 years you've been doing this and saying that earthworms are more important than people?
Well, actually, that's not something I came up with. That's something that scientists came up with. And you can
believe
what you want to believe.
And you believe that earthworms are more important than people?
Well, the Earth will survive with earthworms on it. Life will survive on the planet.
Right.
With just humans on it and no earthworms, the planet will not survive, nor will humans. You know, everybody thinks that we're out there saving animals and everything. Well, you have to have biodiversity on this planet in order for the planet to survive and for us as humans to breathe air, to have clean water.
So to do all of that, you will use terrorist intimidation activities to do those things.
To save a dying planet, I will do what it takes.
To save the dying planet. Peter, I appreciate you calling in, and thank you very much for being part of the show.
And I appreciate you mocking me, but, quite frankly, you are wrong. And you can talk emotionally all you want, but look at the science behind this.
No, I'm talking factually. That's what I'm talking, that you guys are eco-terrorists, Peter. That's a fact.
Name it, that we are saving the oceans.
No, you're terrorist, Peter.
You can call it what you'd like,
No,
sir.
I'm calling it what you guys call it yourself. Fact.
That is the title that is put on to the Sea Shepherd Society, and the Sea Shepherd Society uses it. I will use any title as long as it gets
Watson
in the press.
has called himself and you guys eco-terrorist, self-proclaimed. That's a fact,
fine.
Peter.
That is a fact. So what is wrong with that?
You tell me, Peter.